Everyone. Today we're going to present getting started with Microsoft OneNote. And just a reminder, this training will be recorded and available after today. And if you wish to join anonymously, please log out and log back in using that web browser. Before we begin, we do have some and from there you'll be able to come off mute and perhaps ask your question. Um, you also have the option to share your screen, but we won't be doing that for today's purpose. Once you do type out that message, you can actually go ahead and send it out. And either I'll be able to perhaps showcase that, or I can have my colleague on the back end answer that question. My name is Jose, and I'm here with my colleague Richard, and we're both Microsoft trainers, and Richard would be on that back end answering that Q&A throughout today's demonstration. I do want to put this out, these pertaining the Mayo Clinic to please sign in with your credentials in order to see that flex or professional growth credit. And if you join anonymously, you will not be marked as attended. And I'll go ahead and add these resources as well. You can go ahead and scan that QR code and you'll get a couple of resources. And the next slide, I'll go ahead and add a couple more training support that pertains to Mayo Clinic. So when it comes to more training, there's a link that I posted in the chat, as well as when creating a new team as well. So today's agenda consists of an introduction to OneNote, creating a notebook, collaborating with team notebooks, and answer any questions we might have throughout today's presentation. With OneNote, you can sort content across notebooks with sections and pages to keep your busy world organized. You highlight can't miss notes with important to-do tags, or use OneNote web clipper to save content with a single click. And with easy to use navigation and search, you can find information you need quickly and never miss a moment. OneNote offers features like highlight, ink annotations, and more to bring your thoughts to life on digital page. You can record audio notes, insert online videos, and even add file attachments. And because OneNote syncs across all your devices, you can access your notes anywhere, anytime, without missing a beat. We get more done when we work together. Sharing and collaborating in OneNote is simple. You can annotate notes, share ideas, and work together in real time with your coworkers, friends, and family. So now we're going to go ahead and get started with that live demonstration. All right. Before I begin, I do want to mention that I will be playing today, role playing on the top right, role playing as Megan Bowen, and Megan Bowen is part of a fictitious company called Contoso Electronics. All right. So OneNote is a digital notebook that people take with them. And OneNote notebooks are cloud-based and they're available in many versions. We have OneNote for Windows 10, OneNote for the web, OneNote for desktop, OneNote for Mac, Android, even iOS. So for today, most of the topics covered in this training will apply to all versions of OneNote, but the features may vary depending on what version you're using. So today we'll start a little bit with the web version and then move on to the desktop version and kind of talk about the differences and similarities between these OneNote versions. So I'll go ahead and open up OneNote on the web and get started. So up at the top left, I do have that application launcher where I can go ahead and search for OneNote. If I don't see OneNote within these sections, what I can do is scroll to the bottom, go to all applications, and from there find OneNote, which should be listed in alphabetical order. So if I scroll down, I should be able to see OneNote under OneDrive. So I can access OneNote this way, or what I can do also is essentially go to onenote.com, like the next tab I have on the left, and I'll be able to access OneNote this way as well. So this is OneNote.com. That's how it would look like, and this is OneNote on the Microsoft Office.com homepage. So here I have a couple of different tabs. I have my recently accessed notebooks. I have my favorites, if perhaps I had any favorites, notebooks. Have my own notebooks, any things that's been shared. Perhaps I can see any notebooks that were shared with me at any given time. And I have my Discover tab. But go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and dive into this Mark 8 project team notebook and kind of entitles and navigate and talk about what OneNote consists of. So I'll go ahead and open up this Mark 8 project team notebook and continue. So once again, with OneNote, think about it as we have the October section, and with this section, we have a couple of different pages. We have a weekly recap, and we have our customer training. If we scroll to the left, we have our September section, November, December, and so on. And similar to all our other Office applications, up at the top, we do have a couple of different tabs. We have our file tabs, we have our home, we have our insert, draw, view, and help tab. And once again, as I click to a certain different tab, I'm given different commands that I can go ahead and access when I'm working with OneNote. But I'll go ahead and go back to the home and continue. And then up in this ribbon too, I can always, if I want, maybe get, maybe this is too bulky and maybe I want to go ahead and get rid of this ribbon. What I can do is go to the far right. There's a drop down arrow. Click on that drop down arrow and perhaps I want to go ahead and use the classic ribbon. That's going to stand out and give me a couple more different options if I wanted to work this way. Or I can actually go ahead and use some more simplified ribbon, which I had previously. So I'll go ahead and make this simplified. And then I can always automatically hide the ribbon too. Perhaps I want to focus more on the canvas and less on the tabs and the commands. I can always automatically hide that ribbon and continue. So I'll go ahead and keep it as simplified ribbon and continue. I'll make this a little bit bigger so we can all see. Continue. So now, once again, within these different sections, like I mentioned before, we have a couple of different pages. You know, we have our October, we have our September. So if I go ahead and click on September, I have 3 different pages here. I have my weekly recap, my customer training tips, and my printout. And if I go to November, once again, I have my pages that pertain to November. So let's go ahead and let's say I wanted to go ahead and add a new page. So what I can do is actually go ahead and right click. I can right click and I can hit that plus icon and add a page. So if I go ahead and click on add a page, oops, sorry, let's add a section. Let's get out of here. So I'm gonna go over here, click on December, and let's go ahead and add a section. Not a page, we're gonna add a section. We'll add a page in just 1 second. So we'll go ahead and add a section. And then this gives this section a name. So we have October, September, November, December. Let's just do January for this section. We'll go ahead and do January. And then now the first one I have, the first page, what I want to name this first page, we'll go ahead and name this, we'll do page 1. And then let's go ahead and add another page. So I'll go ahead and right click on the page and add another page. And let's go ahead and add page 2. All right, so now I have a new section. I have my January section, and I have my page 1. So like I mentioned, you know, this OneNote is like a unlimited canvas where you can actually go ahead and click on anywhere within this canvas and go ahead and actually start typing or working within this canvas. So for example, and I can actually go ahead and click on the canvas. And from here, I can go ahead and start typing. So I created a text box, and then I can go ahead and click on anywhere on the canvas. So I can continue over here. And then maybe I want to go ahead and scroll down, and then maybe down here. So here we have three different text boxes. And then once again, I continue clicking anywhere within the canvas and continue to start organizing this canvas and continue to type. And I can actually maybe I can actually zoom out. So if I zoom out on my keyboard, I'm using Control minus. You can see that this canvas is limited, so I can keep scrolling down and perhaps click all the way on the far right and start typing towards the right hand side. Maybe I can go to the bottom right and continue to type there. But essentially, this is a canvas, so we can go ahead and start creating anywhere within this page. So I'll go ahead and zoom in again, Control plus. Let's go to the front. All right, and continue. So now within this first text box, I can go ahead and just highlight the text. And then up at the top, I'm giving a couple of different commands, similar to most of our applications. From here, I can maybe make this font bold. Maybe I can go ahead and make this font bigger. I could even highlight this font if I wanted to. Maybe I want to make these bullet points. Maybe I want to make this number, or perhaps I want to go ahead and change the style. So these are some of the things I have quickly access to that I can go ahead and start creating within this first page of my notebook. And then another thing I can do too, perhaps I have a desktop, or a monitor or a screen where I can perhaps use a stylus. What I can do is actually go ahead and start using the stylus and perhaps start drawing on this section. And then up at the top, I do have that insert tab. I can go ahead and click on that insert tab. Oh, sorry, the draw tab. Sorry about that. Click on the draw tab. And from here, I can actually go ahead and have a couple of different colors I can work with. Maybe if I wanted to go ahead and choose a different color other than those ones displayed, I can actually go ahead and do so. For example, we have the dark green color. And then from here, I can actually go ahead and start drawing on this canvas. So maybe if I'm brainstorming, I can probably draw a circle and then start gathering ideas. If I had a stylus, maybe it was easier this way. And then up at the top, under this draw section, on the left-hand side, we do have the eraser. So maybe I want to go ahead and erase this. Or I can simply go to the far left and click on that undo, and that's going to go ahead and undo the action I just took. So maybe I'll go ahead and go blue, and maybe I'll go ahead and circle this. Maybe this is important. Maybe this could be a talking point. And I can go ahead and start customizing my section this way. All right, and then let's go ahead and go back, click on our cursor. And let's say perhaps I want to go ahead and insert an image within this canvas. Actually can. I'll go ahead and open up Bing, different tab, and then let's go ahead and click on this image, this Microsoft image. We're going to go ahead on this image, go right click. We're going to click copy. And now we're going to go to our canvas and then click maybe in this area at the bottom. We're going to go ahead and right click and we're going to go ahead and click paste. And what that's going to do is actually go ahead and paste that image directly onto the canvas. So it might take a little bit longer. All right, we see it there now. And then what we can do is actually perhaps click on that image, maybe make this image bigger, maybe want to make this image larger. We can actually go ahead and adjust the size of the image. And this is another way we can go ahead and start customizing this page. And then what we can also do is actually use our web capture and insert images using that route too. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and open up another tab. Let's go ahead and open up a Microsoft website. Perhaps I'm looking into buying the Surface laptop and I want to go ahead and maybe perhaps insert this image onto my canvas. What I can do is right click. And then up at the bottom, we do have that web capture. And once again, you can also do Control Shift S if that's something you wanted to do. I'll go ahead and click on that web capture. From here, I'll go ahead and highlight what I want to use on my canvas. And then from here, before I make anything else, at the bottom, perhaps I want to go ahead and mark this up, write some notes before I insert this, or visually search. But I'll go ahead and click copy. And now if I go back to my Marquee
Yeah,
Project Team
okay.
notebook, I'll go ahead and click at the bottom, right click, and I'll go ahead and click paste. So once again, there's different ways about, inserting images. We can web capture, we can copy and paste, or what we can also do is go to that insert tab and explore our options. So if we go up to the insert tab up at our top, up in our ribbon, we have that insert tab. From here, we can insert a file perhaps, but let's focus on picture. So if I click on that picture, I can insert a picture from a file, from a camera, or from online. So if I go ahead and choose online, it's going to open up a new window. And from here, I can actually go ahead and search for an image. Once again, I'll go ahead and type in Microsoft. I'll hit search, and then I'll go ahead and use that first image. I'll insert that. And once again, we get another image, and another way of inserting an image when it comes to interacting and customizing this page. Now, let's say I wanted to go ahead and insert a file. So the same route that we just took, same thing. We're gonna go back to that insert tab, and then we have that file. So what we can do is enter that file attachment. So I'll go ahead and click on the insert file attachment, and then from here I can actually go ahead and browse my OneDrive and insert a file. Perhaps towards the bottom, I want to go ahead and insert a PowerPoint. So I'll go ahead and click on this PowerPoint, and then I'll click open. And what that's going to do is actually click that, insert that PowerPoint. So I can always go ahead and click on that PowerPoint. It's going to open it up in a new window. So that's a little bit about inserting files, pictures, and maybe I wanted to go ahead and insert the links. So maybe it's a link to YouTube or a educational link. Once again, I can go ahead and under that view insert tab, go to the bottom, click on that insert link, and from here I can go ahead and paste my link and then the display text. So there's various different ways of inserting images, links, and files when it comes to OneNote. And now within this page too, perhaps I want to go ahead and start writing perhaps math equations and kind of showcase that math assistant. So I'll go ahead and click on the canvas and I'll go ahead and start typing a math problem. So I'll go 2x plus 3y equals 70. So I have an equation, 2x plus 3y equals 70. I'll go ahead and highlight this. And now under my insert tab, I'm still in the same insert tab. If I go to the far right, I have my math assistant. So I'll go ahead and click on math assistant. And then what that's going to do is open up a pane on the right hand side and actually help me with this equation. So the first thing I do is I have a select an action. Do I want to solve for X? Do I want to solve for Y? Do I want this graph in 2D? So let's go ahead and choose solve for X. We'll solve for X. And then do I want to go ahead and show the steps? I can go ahead and have those steps shown. And then from here, we see the steps that it took. Maybe I want this read out loud. I can actually open up Immersive Reader and have this equation read out loud. But if I keep scrolling down, I can even generate a practice quiz if I wanted to. So this is a bit about that math assistant, how it is to your advantage if you're dealing with math equations or math problems when it comes to OneNote. Maybe I want to go ahead and graph this in 2D. I can. And then perhaps maybe I want to insert that on the page. I can actually go ahead and click insert on page. And it's going to go ahead and insert that graph in 2D onto this canvas. So that's a bit about a little bit about this math assistant, and you can go ahead and play with this math assistant and see how it can benefit you when working with math equations. And then another thing I can do too is I can go ahead and close this out. I can go ahead and create tags. So let's say that this PowerPoint, it's something I'm going to be working with a lot and something I want to go ahead and refer to. What I can do is actually select this PowerPoint or this file, go to the top. I'm still under my home tab. Go to the far right and click on that tags and then create a tag for that. maybe this PowerPoint is something important and I want to go ahead and refer to. I can actually go ahead and tag it. So now I tagged it as important. So now, if any given time, I can always search for the tag and be able to locate that. And then up my left, maybe this is getting kind of crowded and maybe it's hard to work with. What I can do is always close this my navigation pane on the left hand side. I can always go to the far left, click on those three lines, and close that out, and give me a nicer canvas to work with. And if at any time I wanted to go ahead and open it back up, I could. I'll go ahead and click on those three lines and I'll open it back up again. But I find it easier to just close this out and it's easier for me to work with. And once again, if I do a control minus, I'll zoom out of it and I see that once again, this is the canvas that I keep working up anywhere. So I can go ahead and click on the far right and start working on the right if needed. I'll go ahead and zoom back in and continue. All right. And now another thing I have too when it comes to text and within this canvas is accessibility option. So under that view, let's go back to that view tab. I'll go ahead and click on that view tab, and then I'll go ahead and highlight the first text, and then I'll go to the far right under this view tab and actually go ahead and click on check accessibility. So I'll go ahead and click on that option. And what that's going to do is it's going to mark some errors that perhaps, are causing this section to make this accessible for everyone. So within this section, I'll get these errors and I can actually go ahead and fix those errors. And for example, up in the first image, I can go ahead and click on that image and then try to see how I can make this more accessible. Whether I can actually go ahead and label this image as a no content, like no captions for it, and be able to make sure each page we're working on, each materials we're working on, it's accessible for everyone. All right, I'll go ahead and close out of this and continue. And then I'll go ahead and minimize this. And once again, if you all have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat box before I continue. But if I don't see any questions, what I'm gonna do now is talk about how we can actually go ahead and create your own notebook. So I'll go ahead and open up the pane again, navigation from the left-hand side. And then as we can see right now, we're in this Mark 8 project team notebook. But let's go ahead and click on that drop down. And from here, we're going to see other different notebooks that Megan's a part of or Megan shares with other teams. But if we go to the bottom, we can actually go ahead and click on add a notebook. And let's go ahead and add a notebook. So let's give this notebook a name. And within this notebook, it could be, maybe you want to add a personal notebook, or maybe you want to add a notebook dedicated to a certain project. You can actually go ahead and give it a name, and that way it's easier to find and locate. So for today's demonstration, I'll go ahead and call this a personal notebook. Actually, no, I'll call this personal journal. This journal, and I'll go ahead and create this. So I'll go ahead and create this notebook. And as we can see, the notebook is empty. So we haven't even started working on this, but let's go ahead and click here to create a new section. So the first section for this journal, it's going to be, for me, it's going to be January. And I'll go ahead and click OK. And then for the first page for this one, I want to go ahead and name this, actually, let's go ahead and rename this. I'm gonna go rename this page, so this section. So we're gonna go ahead and right click on the section, rename the section, and I'm gonna actually go ahead and rename this section 2023. We're gonna click OK, and now let's go to the page and let's name this one January. All right, and then let's add another page. We'll add one. Let's add two. So this one would be week 1. And then the next one's going to be week 2, because I want to go ahead and be able to make notes throughout the year of what I've been working on in the weeks of 2023. So I have week 1, week 2. Maybe I'll go ahead and add a week 3. I'll go ahead and right click, add a page, and I'll go ahead and add a week 3. All right, so let's go to January. And another thing I can do too is I can actually go to week 1. So if I click on week 1, what I can do is actually right click week 1 and make this a sub page. So I'll make this a sub page, and as well as week 2, let's make them all sub pages. So these are all now pertaining to January. So January pertains to week 1, week 2, and week 3. That way it keeps things organized, and I know that these weeks pertain to January. And now for week 1, we can actually go ahead and, similar to we started, go ahead and start writing our text. So we can start documenting our ideas, documenting our work for the year. And then we can actually go ahead and start personalizing this. So the thing I like to do when I'm working with my OneNote is actually add a color to the pages. So what I can do is go under the insert tab. We're gonna go to the insert tab. Sorry, we're gonna go to the view tab. Sorry about that. Go to that view tab. And I like to go ahead and add a page color, because when you add a page color, I think the text tends to stand out a bit more. So if I go ahead and add maybe like that green, like the yellowish color, I see the text perhaps standing out a little bit more. And if I go ahead and make this a little bigger, I can kind of see how it stands out a little bit more on my side. And then another neat thing too is if we're working with a stylist, and perhaps it's easier to go ahead and actually draw text and draw ideas, or use that stylus to write text, what we can is actually add lines to this section and pages. We can actually go to rule lines up at the top, and then from here choose what it is we want to add. Perhaps we want to add grid lines. Maybe we want to go ahead and add standard rule lines, maybe college lines, and this kind of makes everything a little bit easier to manage when we're actually writing notes, or perhaps using that stylus to be able to gather ideas or collaborate with others on a certain project. And now another thing we can do too is documents to this section, but I'll showcase that on the desktop version of OneNote. But this is just a bit about, creating that personal OneNote and be able to go ahead and start working with it. And then another neat thing that you can do too is if I go to my home tab, I'll go to the home tab, and then up at the far right, we do have a microphone. I can actually go ahead and click on that dictate feature. So if I go ahead and click on that dictate feature, as I am speaking, we are going to see that the texts are being written down on this page, period. And I can continue to keep speaking and gather my thoughts as it's writing it for me, period. Stop dictation. So that's another neat thing about using that dictate feature. You're able to, once again, be able to, perhaps if you have a train of thought and perhaps it's too long to type out, you can actually go ahead and speak using that dictate feature and get that message across. And then another neat thing too is, since this is all being saved on the cloud, there's no need to file save as. So as I'm typing, we do see up at the top. So once I type, we'll see at the top is being synced. So it's being synced currently. So there's no need to, once again, file save as every 5 minutes and worry about saving my work. So once again, that's a neat thing about this dictate feature that we can go ahead and use when it comes to gathering thoughts and ideas. And now I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about the desktop version of OneNote, which is a little similar. There's slight differences. So I'll go ahead and minimize this, and I'll open up that OneNote for my desktop. So some of you might have OneNote for Windows 10. Some of you might have OneNote for Windows 11. So depending on what it is you're using, it varies. For example, right now we're still back on that Market project team, and we see up at the top how we have our pages at the top and our sections on the right hand side. So ideally, if we go back to let me go ahead and close this out so it refreshes what we just worked on. So we go to the October section, and then we look at the top. We see this. There's more options when it comes to the tabs. We actually have a history tab too when it comes to the desktop version, and then once again, different more functions. For example, under that home insert tab, we do have a option to record a video, perhaps record an audio, and we do have that history tab, which we can have a look at the version histories. Perhaps if we share this notebook at a given time, we can actually go ahead and see the different versions. We can see the recent edits if we collaborate on this notebook as well. But what I wanted to cover too is when it comes to the desktop version, when you're using OneNote for Windows 10 or Windows to Windows 11, what you can actually do is I'll go ahead and let's go to January. I'll go ahead and go to January, and then under the pages on the right hand side, what I can do is actually right click. Let's go to page two. I can actually right click page two, and I can actually copy a link to this page. So if I could choose copy a link to page, what I can do is, for example, I can go to page one, and if anybody has any questions, I can have them refer to page two and insert that link. So for example, let's say, let's make this, let's zoom in on this. Let's say, I don't know why it's so small. Let me see, try to make this a little bit bigger. Give me 1 second. Trying to make this canvas a little bit bigger, but I can't see it on my end. All right. So I can go ahead and type something as refer to page two, and I can actually go ahead and right click, and I can actually go ahead and paste that link. So I can actually go ahead and paste the link, and then let's say keep text. So I can go ahead and paste that link that way, or I can actually go ahead and create a hyperlink. So I'll go ahead and delete this. I'll hit right click, and then I can go ahead and enter that link. Enter that link, and then let me try to zoom out a little bit more. Cool. So I can go ahead and select the text to display. So maybe I can be page two, and then here enter that link. And then once again, I'll go ahead and click OK. So now, once again, if perhaps someone is lost and needs some information, I can go ahead and create that link. So it's going to go ahead and click on the link and shoot them back to page two. So we can redirect individuals, or kind of use those links to better navigate this OneNote. So once again, I'll go back. I mean, I highlighted the section, I mean the page, highlighted the page, chose a copy link to page, and then from there, I went to page one. I right clicked, and I chose that link option. Within that link option, I was able to actually go ahead and customize the text to display, and then enter that link and post that link on that dedicated page. So these are some of the features you can do with the desktop version. And what you can also do too is I'll go ahead and close out of this, and close out of this as well. And then under that draw tab too, up on the far left, we have that draw tab. We have a couple of different options too. We see the pen. We have a couple more different styles of pens. We have this galactic pen where I can go ahead and click on a pen and click on that small drop down. And then from there, I can actually choose that thickness of the pen. And then I can actually go ahead and start using that pen. It makes it a bit more bold. You know, you have a couple more different options that you can go ahead and use when working with the desktop version. I could even go ahead and add shapes too. So maybe I want to go ahead and add some shapes. I can go ahead and do that. So once again, there's a couple of different differences when using different types of OneNote. And then the same thing too. I can go to my home tab once again, and then let's go ahead and highlight the first text box. And up on the right hand side, I can go ahead and add a tag. So I can go ahead and right click, add a tag up at the top. I can do this way. But then let's say I want to go ahead and search for that some important tags that at one point I labeled. What I can do as well too is under that home tab, go to the top, click on that find tags. And from here, I can actually go ahead and see all the tabs that I've labeled. For example, I did label that important PowerPoint. It's going to go ahead and take me to it, which is right at the bottom. And I can go ahead and access my tags that way. So that's some of the things that we can do on the desktop version. And also another thing we can do too is let's go to that personal journal that I created. So let's go back to our Mark 8 project T notebook. Let's go ahead and open up other notebooks. And let's go ahead and open up that personal notebook. And this is the one that I just created on the web. So we have nothing. So we have that week one. And then I think I need to sync this. All right, cool. Don't know why it's not synced. Here we go. So this is the week one to quickly sync. So remember, I changed this to yellow, and then I added that those lines. And another thing we can do too is when it comes to files, so up in the top, the insert files, what I can do also is when it goes to files attachments, I'll go ahead and choose that same PowerPoint. I'll go insert, but then I have the option. Do I want to attach the file or do I want to attach that printout? And if we saw earlier, we didn't have that option when we used the web version, but when you use the desktop version, you will have that option. So if I go ahead and insert that printout, what it's going to do is insert those slides one by one on this page. So as we can see, we have the PowerPoint on this page. So there's another way you can do when you're working with the desktop version. And then I'll go ahead and go back to home and I'll go ahead and click back and showcase another feature when it comes to the desktop version. So I'll go ahead and go back to the web browser. I'll open up a Word document online. So we have this annual financial report. And then from here, I'm actually going to go ahead and paste this on the OneNote. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and go to File. I'm going to go down. I'm going to print this document. And then before I print, on the left-hand side under the printers, I can choose my destination. Do I want to perhaps showcase this in a OneNote? Or maybe I want to go ahead and print this on a printer. But if I go to the bottom, if I choose on that OneNote option, what that's going to do is display this document, this Word document on my OneNote. So I'll go ahead and click OneNote on my desktop. I'm going to go ahead and click print. I'll go ahead and click close. And what we do see at the bottom is a notification. We see our OneNote blinking in red. So if I go ahead and open that up, it's going to ask me what location do I want to go ahead and paste paste that printout. So do I want to do this in the quick notes or where do I want to do this? So right now we're working with our personal journal. So let's go down and look for our personal journal. We see it at the personal journal. In what section? Right now we're on the section, I think we're in the week one. So let's go to 2023. Let's open that up. Let's go ahead and paste this under week one because right now we're working under week one. So we can actually go ahead and click OK. And then what we just did, we did that printout, that document onto this page to the dedicated personal journal. So once again, I'll go ahead and re-showcase that. So I opened up a web browser. I opened up a document online. I went to File. I clicked on Print. And then from here, I made sure I was selecting OneNote on the desktop. It won't let you do it in OneNote on the web. So I select the OneNote on the desktop. I went ahead and clicked print. I closed it off, and then I got the notification of where do I want to go ahead and direct this document to. And maybe I want to go ahead and perhaps enter this into the Mark 8 project team notebook. I can't. I had to go to the bottom. This is what I recently been working on, but I could go to the bottom, click on that Mark 8 project team, click on that plus, open up the different sections. Maybe I want to open up in this January section under this first page. So there's something I can actually go ahead and achieve if that's something I wanted to do. Is actually use that printout and have that printout inserted to a dedicated page within a dedicated section. So I'll go ahead and click cancel and continue. So that's just a bit about the desktop version of OneNote, which I mean, like we just saw, it's sort of, I mean, there's some similarities when it comes to the web version versus the desktop, but obviously within the desktop version, you have more options and more functions. And then now I'll go ahead and close up the tag summary. And then another thing we can do too is within OneNote, actually, we can also search for certain subjects or files. Up in the far right, we do have our search tab. Within the search tab, we can actually go ahead and search for documents or talking points or anything within this dedicated notebook. And if we click on the right hand side, we have a drop down. From here, we can search all notebooks, this section group, and go ahead and actually refine and narrow down our options. All right, we have any questions before we continue? If not, I'm going to go ahead and hop back on the web version. So this is a little bit about the desktop version. And once again, you might have the desktop for Windows 10 or Windows 11, but depending on what you're working with, the tabs are fairly the same. And just notice that you have more functions when it comes to using a desktop version. So I'll go ahead and minimize this and continue. Let's go ahead and open up the web version one more time and continue. And now let's go to week 2. Another thing I want to talk about too is we're going to go ahead and go to that enter tab. And let's say that I have an upcoming meeting and maybe I want to go ahead and add more notes to this meeting. So what I can do is actually under the insert tab, go to the far right where it says meeting details, click on those meeting details, and it's gonna, once it syncs to my OneDrive and my account, I'm gonna go ahead and see the meetings that I have going on for today. And then what I can do is perhaps maybe I want to add more notes to this weekly call. I can go ahead and click on that meeting. It's gonna go ahead and enter that information onto this OneNote. And then from there, I can actually go ahead and perhaps elaborate and use more notes for that meeting. So I have the information of the meeting, where it's going to take place, the hyperlinks, and now I can go ahead and add more notes if needed. I'll go ahead and close this out, and then once again, I have the meeting on this certain dedicated page, and from here I can go ahead and add more notes and have more to talk about when it comes to that meeting, or perhaps important points that I don't want to miss out or mention when I have this meeting with my colleagues. And then another thing we can do now, let's say we want to perhaps within this notebook, maybe Megan wants to share this notebook. Maybe she's working on a certain project or she's brainstorming and wants a second opinion or wants feedback on certain ideas. We can actually go ahead and share this notebook if we wanted to. So what we can do is up at the top, we do have that share icon. We can click on that drop down and then we can actually go ahead and share that entire notebook and do so. So we can go ahead and click on share entire notebook. And then from here, we have this window that you all might be familiar with when sharing a document. Once again, depending on your organization, we'll go ahead and click anyone with the link. So depending on your organization, this is in order for you to share externally. So if your organization allows you to share external files, you'll have this option available. And from here, towards the bottom, you can actually go ahead and set the restrictions. Whether you want the individual to just come in and make edits, or whether you want them to just go in and view the content and maybe suggest edits. You have the option to go ahead and set those expectations. Maybe you want to go ahead and set an expiration date on this notebook. Maybe you want a certain time frame that after the certain time frame, they can no longer access it. Or perhaps you want to go ahead and set a password for this notebook. These are some of the options you have available when it comes to sharing externally. But if I want to go ahead and share it internally, maybe I want to share with people within my organization, within Contoso. I can go ahead and click on that option. And then from here towards the bottom, I can choose those restrictions, whether I want them to just edit or just view and not make any changes. I'll go ahead and choose can edit. I'll go ahead and apply that. And then from here, I can go ahead and write the individual's name. Maybe I want to share it with Adele, and maybe I want to share it with Grady, and then maybe write a brief message about this notebook. And they're going to get a notification via Outlook that I've shared a notebook with them. So once again, this is another way to go ahead and actually share notebooks if that's something you wanted to do. And I'll go ahead and click send. And I've just shared this notebook with my two colleagues. And maybe I sent them to the wrong individuals. Maybe I didn't want to send them to Adele and Grady. What I can do also is go to the top, go back to that share option, click on that manage access, and then I can actually go ahead and go to the top and click on stop sharing. I can go ahead and click stop sharing, and it's going to go ahead and give me a notification. I'm going to go ahead and click once again. I'm sure I don't want to share with them. I'm going to go ahead and click stop sharing and stop giving them access. So I'm no longer sharing the notebook. So just as easy as it was to share, you can go ahead and unshare if needed. And now, how do we integrate this with Microsoft Teams? We can actually go ahead and add a OneNote to Microsoft Teams to avoid jumping in and out of different browsers and just work straight from Teams. So I'll go ahead and open up Teams and showcase that. I'll open up Teams, and then I'll open up the Microsoft Teams section. And then towards the bottom, we are once again on the Marquee Project team. We're under the General channel. We have our conversations, and up at the top, we have a couple different tabs. We have our Files tab, where we have all the files shared within this channel. We have our Wiki tab. But then let's go ahead and integrate OneNote to this tab, to this channel. We're going to go ahead and click on that plus icon. And then from here, we're actually going to go ahead and let's add that OneNote. Let's add the Mark 8 notebook on here. Let's go ahead and search for application. We'll see OneNote towards the middle. We'll go ahead and click on OneNote. Going to go ahead and look for the notebooks that I was working on. Perhaps I want to insert my personal journal, maybe my Contoso journal, maybe the US notebook. I can go ahead from here and see all the notebooks that I've created. So we'll go ahead and use this default notebook, Smart Key Project Team notebook. We'll go ahead and click Save. And now I've just inserted OneNote, my OneNote notebook onto this tab section. So now once again, if I go on my left pane, open this up, I can actually go ahead and go back to January, and from here continue your work or perhaps add content if needed. And then we see up at the top our tabs. Maybe we want to go ahead and go to the far right, click on that drop down, and maybe we want to open them up a bit more. We add the option to do so. We can go ahead and create conversation with this OneNote. I can actually go ahead and click on that conversation. And then from here, I can mention people that pertain to this team and maybe assign task or get up to date or be on the same page about a certain section or a certain page dedicated to this OneNote. So that we can go ahead and do. So I'll go ahead and click X. And then once again, there's no need for me to be jumping into a browser and working through OneNote when I can go ahead and just work through OneNote with the Microsoft Teams. So ideally, once again, I can start my day in Teams and end my day in Teams if I wanted to do so. And then maybe when I go ahead and open up in the web browser, because it might be easier, we can always enter the Home tab, go up at the top, and click on Open in Browser. But if we click on that drop down, do we want to work in the browser or the desktop application? That's something you can go ahead and choose. So I'm not sure if we have any questions before ending today's demonstration, but this is how to, once again, navigate one notebook and look at the different tabs and the different commands and functions. And then as we can see, I don't know if you all saw when I inserted that printout on that desktop version, we can do the file attachment, but we can also enter the file printout. And if I go ahead and click on that file printout, it won't let me do PowerPoints. I can only do Word documents, but the desktop version will let you do prints out of PowerPoint documents. So once again, I can maybe enter this financial report and go ahead and click open. And it's going to once again give me that printout of this financial report. As we can see, I'll go ahead and go back to home and I'll go ahead and erase this. But yeah, under that insert tab, once again, we can enter that file printout like I just did, or we can actually go ahead and enter that file attachment, which is what I have at the bottom. When we go ahead and click on that, it's going to go ahead and open up PowerPoint and see that material that pertains to that file. And then maybe we're going to go ahead and add an audio message. We can actually go ahead and insert audio. And we can go ahead and start a recording. Maybe we'll go ahead and allow it. Wait for it to load in just 1 second. All right. See, it's already recording. And this could be instructions for certain individuals or notes about a certain project or a certain section that we can go ahead and leave an audio note. We'll go ahead and click stop. And now everyone within this team can actually go ahead and click on that audio recorder and hear the message. So once again, there's a lot of different options and different functions you can go ahead and work with within OneNote. But these are some of the most fundamental ones that I believe are really useful and increase that collaboration and that teamwork when it comes to working with OneNote with multiple individuals, or even to go ahead and create your personal OneNote and keep everything organized and up to date. So if y'all don't have any questions, I'll go back to the PowerPoint deck and wrap this up. But I mean, once again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask questions, and I'll be happy to go ahead and demonstrate them or answer those questions if needed. So I know we talked a little bit about different versions. So once again, this is the version with the Microsoft Teams. We talked about the web version that we have up at the top, and we discussed about the desktop version. So once again, depending on what version it is you're working with, you'll have more functions. But the tabs for the most part will stay the same. All right, I'll go ahead and minimize this and go back to our PowerPoint. So for brief recap, today we introduced OneNote. We talked about the different tabs and the different functions and commands within its dedicated tab. We created a notebook, just a journal, and just kind of talked about how to start building on that journal, inserting material and content. Talked about collaborating with team notebooks and what that showcases whether you want to share that notebook with individuals or you want to go ahead and actually add it to a tab with the Microsoft Teams and be able to go ahead and work with colleagues. And now, hopefully, y'all don't have any questions or want to ask away. We do have a couple minutes. If y'all don't have any questions, that's created today's training. And yeah, just thank you all for joining today's training, and we will see you all on the next training. Thank you, and have a good rest of your day.